I'm Sara Angell. I lead the account development team here at UserGems. A bit of quick context around who I am, so you know who's talking at you for the next 30-ish minutes. My team is responsible for a lot of our pipeline at UserGems. Upwards of 60% of our total pipeline comes from outbound. So everything I'm going to be sharing today is stuff that we are actively running. We use our own platform for running our entire outbound motion, which means we frequently break things and then learn to fix them. And then when things do work, we figure out how to scale it. So I'm going to be sharing some of the things that we've built here and are currently running with you today, focusing in on this close lost workflow. So this is the very first class of our UserGems Classroom series for SDR leaders. So one of three. If you didn't see the upcoming two, we'll talk about that later on. Think of this less as your typical webinar. It's really not meant to be that. It's meant to be more of a working session. And I know I've got sort of a mixed audience here of maybe people who are UserGems customers, maybe people who have never heard of UserGems, and maybe people who have some idea of what we are. What I'm going to show is how I actually use the platform. So it's not meant to be really a product demo, but more of an inside look at, for an SDR leader, how you could build within this product. So we'll keep slides fairly light. I will go through a few just to kind of set the stage, and then we're going to do a live build together. I want this to be as interactive as possible, but I am also running this solo. I don't have a moderator to help out here today. So please just, if you have questions along the way, drop them into the chat for me. And we'll have another like 10, 15 minutes at the end to address any of the questions that came up along the way. And I promise we'll go through them then. So please don't hold back there, even if I can't see it as I'm going through the live walkthrough and these few slides. But to keep us moving along. So just sort of big picture before we zoom in today. Like I said, it's class one of 3 parts. So this one is about reviving close lost. I wanted to start here because I, again, know we're all in this Q4 place. And close loss is honestly one of our top performing playbooks that we run here. So I thought give a little to everybody else too. If you're not running something like this, it's just such a great source of pipeline. So wanted to share while other people are also in the same boat of getting everything we can as we wrap up this year. So the goal today is really that you leave thinking, I can absolutely build this myself. And then class 2 is going to be more around events and custom signals. We'll look into we'll take data from event attendees as well as no-shows and turn that into repeatable plays as well. Class 3 is going to be the nerdiest class of all. They get a bit more complex as we go along. So class 3 is going to be more about scoring, account scoring, and multi-signal automation. And I'll show you how we build a truly autopilot motion here and how scoring plays into that. So today we're very intentionally in the sort of beginner-friendly zone. I'm not going to drag you into lots of configuration, although we will get into a bit of the nuts and bolts. And the goal is just to see the pieces and how they connect and see one real workflow that's actually working for us here. So just a quick agenda. First 5-10 minutes, we're already in it as far as just setting the stage. Why close lost, how we think about it, how I think about audiences and workflows inside of UserGems, and where this play fits into your overall outbound strategy. Then we're going to jump into the live build, and I'll walk through the building an actual revive close loss campaign step by step inside our product. And after that, I'll show you a few of the results from my team from actually running this and their actual outreach. And then, like I said, we're going to leave some time at the end for any questions and any discussion that comes up along the way, including, if you have questions about how to adapt this for different sales motions and team structures, happy to try to dive in there too. So if you are multitasking right now, totally fine. You might want to tune back in for the live build portion that will be coming up in a little bit. So when you look at close loss opportunities, a few things are always true. These accounts already went through some kind of evaluation with you, or there was some sort of hand raiser at the account. If you're like us, if you have a hand raiser, then you go ahead and create an opportunity at that point. So maybe not necessarily that you actually met with them, but there's some context there. They're not strangers, which make these really high fit and high context. So you already have the story, why you were there, why this opportunity was there, what stalled, what happened there, who the champion was or who they weren't, who the blocker was. So tactically speaking, this is one of the fastest paths to short-term pipeline. So you don't have to teach reps a whole new motion here. Most, especially the really good reps, know to go after close loss and look for those. So this is usually a easy to adopt one for the team too. You make it easier for them and they're happy to jump on it. So for a classroom environment, I think it's the perfect starting point. You get to see the mechanics of a workflow and realistically go back to your team and run this. So before we build out our workflow, I wanted to give you a quick look into all the different close loss plays that we run internally. We're going to build one, the one that I would always suggest doing first, the most high impact one. But it's not the only way that we approach close loss. So it's not just one motion for us. We actually break it into a few targeted workflows. So first, you can see the closed lost op contacts. So this is the one that we will actually be building together today. It focuses on original contacts from the closed lost opportunity. So the people that you actually met with or the hand raisers themselves. And then this one is the most like high intent with the most context. And that's why I want to start here. We also run people signals. So looking for any other signals that are going on on the account, the actual account that the opportunity was on. So this isn't looking at necessarily the people that you met with, but it's looking at everything else. So think of this like past champions that join an account that you had a previous opportunity with, or maybe someone gets promoted into an executive role where they could evaluate again. These are the kind of signals that we're looking for at these accounts. The third and fourth, those bottom two that you see on this list, the multi-thread and both of the multi-thread ones, those we run fully automated. So these ones are not hands-on from my team because they're lower intent, less context going on here. So we let these kind of run in the backgrounds. But for the multi-thread qualified bad timing, this autopilot, this one, it was a bad timing for the original contact that was on the opportunity, but maybe another stakeholder might be still a great entry point. So we run this one to make sure we're not missing anything there. And then as far as the needs a decision maker, I think I skipped ahead. I reversed those. Sorry, guys. But the needs a decision maker workflow, that one, we're looking for closed opportunities that closed with the reasons of they couldn't get a champion, they didn't have a champion on that opportunity, or they didn't have the right person. This wasn't a decision maker. So we want to multi-thread all of those accounts too and see if maybe there's another way in. So that's our entire closed lost ecosystem. Today, we're going to start again with that foundational one, the op context workflow. And once you see how it works, you can easily start to lay on the other ones after. So before we actually jump into the live build, which I promise is coming very soon, the workflow we'll build together is going to do one job really well. So it finds people who evaluated you in the past, close lost opportunity contacts. It makes sure they're actually working, they're actually worth touching again, they're worth approaching again, putting in this effort. We're going to use simple filters like making sure they're persona matching, making sure they have an email address, that they're not currently in a sequence, we're not already working them, and that we haven't worked them recently. So looking at recent past activity. It's going to run daily. So reps aren't getting just a ton of tasks all at once. We like to run this one daily, so it's a nice slow drip for them. And it uses AI messaging as the starting point, but the structure is still something you can control. It pushes into your outbound tool. And then we're also going to add in there that it sends a backup notification. So this way, if your reps don't see that task in their outreach tool immediately, they still get a notification through Slack or whatever you use to know to jump on this lead right away because these are great leads. So think of it as, how do I take the way my team is already approaching and thinking about close loss and turn it into something that's repeatable and consistent, and a low maintenance motion. All right, now let's actually get into it. Sorry, I gotta stop sharing here and start sharing somewhere else. Give me 1 second here. All right. This is where it's fun to run it all by yourself, you know. Okay. Um, and now we're cooking. Okay, let's start with this actual walkthrough inside our product. So this is our homepage, and we are going to start going to the navigation bar over here. And first thing we want to do is build an audience. So before we start building the actual campaign, we want to say who we want this campaign to target. So this is really the foundation of your campaign, and this is where it's important to get it right. So you'll see we're going to go through a bunch of filters to make sure that we are getting that right. But before we start adding filters, let's get rid of these kind of preset filters that we see here. So we'll just delete those out. And then we're going to start adding filters. So first filter we're going to start with is the people signals filter, because that's what we're looking here for here. We're looking for the people signal. This is what's going to define that the person was actually on a close lost opportunity. So here I'm going to look for revive close lost. And I can get my mouse to work. There we go. All right, so now we're looking for people on a revive close lost. Next, we're going to add another filter. I promise there's a lot of filters, but it's for a good reason. It's how you get it right. So I'm just going to type in here current to bring up. There we go. So we want to look for contact current relationship on this one. We'll go ahead and select that. And we're gonna want to change this filter logic here. I don't want it to be contains, I want it to be is. So the current relationship is close lost op contact. Make sure we got the right people that we're going after. All right, and now let's add in yet another filter. This time we're going to type in the word type, funny enough. And we're looking for company type here. That's why I'm using the word type. So we have company type because we want to make sure that these people aren't at companies that we don't want to talk to. We want to make sure that they are companies that we do want to talk to. So then selecting target and ICP, basically one and the same, but we want to make sure we have our bases covered there. All right. Once we have those, the next thing we want to filter to, remember before I said we want only contacts with email. So we're going to look for has email here because we want to make sure that we can email them. And then, yes, they do have an email. All right. Another filter. We don't want to be approaching people that are currently in a sequence if somebody's already working them, right? So we want to make sure, no, they're not currently in a sequence. And then filter again. This time, the other criteria that I talked about before, last criteria, was that we haven't been working them recently. So let's make sure, and this is not, it's okay if we've been working the company recently, but this contact themselves, we don't want to have just been talking to them and then make them hate us. So let's not make them hate us. Let's make sure we weren't just talking to them. Our default in the system goes to last week, but that's not really enough for me. We want to do, I don't know why this is way over here. You can't see it. Sorry about that. It should be is empty or before. And then my general rule of thumb, the way we do it here, you might do it different, depends on each org, I suppose. But for us, we're looking at 90 days. We want to give them a 90-day cool off period. So I'll always do 3 months ago as that. All right. Now we can see, now you've basically built your audience here. And you can see UserGems has come up with all the accounts that fit within this audience based on all of these criteria that you've set. So looking at the accounts here, let's use Clio here as an example to look at what else we got going on at this account. So you can see all the prospects within the account that fit all of these criteria that Clio has found. And then just looking into the account score just for a second and why this account is so great and has been scored at 100. You can see Clio has past champions. So people who've used our product before are familiar with us, have moved on into Clio. Of course, we know already that they were a closed lost opportunity. And looks like people from Clio are actually pretty interested in us right now. They have been visiting our website and they've also been engaging with our content and ads on LinkedIn. So that's great. It looks like 5 more signals happening at Clio. So some of their people attended OpStars, which some of our people also attended. So that's a nice talking point. They have a tech stack that we can integrate directly with, so we know we can sell to them. They've had recent announcements and recently partnered with another company, and they are hiring for relevant roles to what we sell. So this does look like a 100 score to me. All right, now that we've seen all of that, let's go ahead and save this audience. And let's say SDR class number 1. All right. And save. Okay. Let's go back over to our sidebar here. And now it's time for the really fun part, building the actual campaign. So let's jump into campaigns and let's build a new campaign. And you can see here, we do have a bunch of pre-built campaigns. So technically you could start from this pre-built revive closed lost ops, re-engage past evaluators campaign. But I want to show you all the whole thing, like starting from scratch. So you have an idea of like, how hard is this if you do want to start from scratch. So we're going to go down here and we're going to create a custom campaign. All right. Okay, and now we are in the campaign builder. So welcome. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna find that audience that we just built. There she is, SDR class number 1. All righty. So now you have your audience with 1,345 people that have been found within that audience. You can adjust schedule and there are limits within the schedule. So like I said, this is one I like to run daily. So I would leave it there. You can select what time you want it to run, if you want it to stop running after a certain time. So we might revisit with the events and other things like that. You can limit how many contacts per company per month you want this to go out to. You can also limit how many total contacts within the entire workflow that you want it to run on per day. So lots of limits that you can set there to make sure you're not overdoing it. All right, now we're going to add our first action, which is going to be create or update the prospect within the CRM. So important action to have in there because let's say you don't have a contact within your CRM that would fit into this workflow, but UserGems finds one, definitely want it to pick it up and push it into the CRM. At the same time, if you do have a contact, but maybe something's changed and you don't have that updated in your CRM, but UserGems sees that change, maybe they were promoted, maybe something like that, then UserGems can go ahead and update that for you within your CRM. So always want to have that step in here. Next step is going to be to assign an owner. So looking into assigning an owner. I want my team working this, so I'm going to assign it to the ADR owner on the account. And then as far as who to assign to from there, let's say specific user, we're going to use the round robin. So if you don't have a routing like lean data or something like that in place, UserGems can route that for you. With here, I want to round robin it between, let's say, Courtney on my team, and then let's say Nathan on my team too. So they're going to get all these great leads. In case something happens with Courtney and Nathan and they're deactivated in the CRM or something horrible happens, then we're going to set this fallback. We always use our placeholder as a fallback. So we'll just go ahead and set that fallback there. All right. So now it's being assigned to the right people. Next is, let's enable that action as well. And next is the most fun part, which is having it start to generate the AI messages. So let's go ahead and enable that action. And then we'll take a look at that too. So this is where the AI has taken all of those things that it's found and actually put it to work into some message writing. So you can see here Sean Cole's at security scorecards got, geez, a lot going on, a lot of signals going on here at the account. So that gives the messaging a lot to talk about. And then Sean, of course, being a revived closed loss contact for us too. So you can see how the AI has taken all this information here and put it into this beautiful message. So, hey, Sean, thanks for previously looking into UserGems earlier this year. I know your team went with Lead IQ, Boo, Data Hub, due to budget constraints and internal approval processes. How's that working out for tracking job changes and maximizing your ABM effectiveness? Since then, we built Jemmy. Funny Jemmy's tooting its own horn here. Our AI agent that automates the manual research and data quality issues you mentioned were slowing down your pipeline efforts. So all of this information that Jemmy is talking about here is pulled from past interactions. It's looking at the actual call transcripts from the calls associated with this opportunity. It's also looking at the trail of emails that have gone back and forth during this open opportunity. So it's using all of that to personalize this closed lost messaging. And then it's also going to weave throughout the rest of the messages all these other, remember all these many, many signals we saw up here? It'll start to weave those throughout the rest of the messaging. But it's first going to start really by pushing that closed lost, all of the really, really personalized stuff that we know about this account. So that is our quick glimpse into the AI messaging. Let's go back to our workflow here and finish building this baby out. All right, so now that we have generated that AI messaging, we're going to add this to an actual sequence. So we use outreach internally. This could be SalesLoft, what it could be, different things that you're using. For us, it's outreach. And then, of course, enable that action. Last thing that we talked about before is setting up that Slack notification. So we want to add that in so that just in case the reps have a lot of tasks going on, but we want to make sure that they're hopping on top of these because they're hot. So that would be the last thing that we'll add to this workflow. And then it's good. I'm not going to save this one. You'll notice I'm not saving this one because we do run this internally. So we already have it. And I don't want to break anything today. So now let's get back over. Excuse me for a second again. I got to stop sharing, move everything around again. I'll be right back with you. And gotta make sure I'm sharing the right thing. All right. And here we are again. Oh, yeah, I see two things in the chat. So finally get to see the chat again. Please, please, again, please throw things in the chat. We're about to get to there. Just have a few more slides to walk through with y'all. And then we will get to those chat questions. Oops, sorry. I got too many things going on my screen. Second here. All right. So as I promised, here is a look of what this actually looks like in the wild. Well, what the great responses and wins that we get from running this workflow, what that looks like in the wild. So these are real screenshots that I took earlier this week when building this deck from our winning channel from my ADR team. So I think this really can help everyone kind of see what the outcomes are that start popping up once this workflow is running consistently. So these are people that already knew of us somehow and just really needed or knew of us from those closed off opportunities and really needed a nudge at the right moment. I really think like half the time, if not more, the op really isn't dead. It's just waiting for that nudge, waiting for the right person at the right time. So this, you can see even in the middle here, that white screenshot there, that's a transcript from a cold call too. I couldn't figure out how to do a call recording in this and also didn't want to put that on one of my reps. I don't think they'd appreciate that very much, but I thought I could at least pull the transcript so y'all could see that too. So you can also imagine how this plays into rep adoption, which we'll talk more about in a second as well. But when reps are getting responses like this and having calls like this, you can imagine it makes it a lot easier to get them on board. So one of the things, I talked about earlier on is how this is such a strong program for us. It's an especially strong program for us on cold calls. So what you're seeing here is data from our cold calling programs. Closed Lost have very similar connect rates to our ABM calls, around 4.3% as far as connect rates. We focus heavily on ABM here, and it is a really well converting channel for us. But what's crazy with these calls is what happens after the connect with these people. So almost half of the connects turn into conversations. So that connect conversation ratio is insane. And then 44% of those conversations convert into actual meetings for us. My favorite stat on this one is that 40 dials per meeting. For us, that is our most efficient cold calling program, period. So, yeah, TLDR on this one, low volume, high intent, high ROI sort of work. So why was my question? Why do these convert so well? I know the answer because I listen to the calls and I see the team and what they're doing. So why these convert so well? This screenshot on the left is basically the answer. This is what my team sees when they're calling someone in this workflow. So they know the person evaluated us before. They know the exact opportunity they came from. They know whether um, they were a champion or not. They know the timing. They know the job they're in. They have all this information, this sort of cheat sheet of all the research that they didn't have to do because the workflow and the AI did it for them. So it's not your typical cold call. It's not, necessarily praying someone remembers your company's name. It's much warmer conversation where they get to walk into it armed with all the things to open it up in a warm way and register the context that they have there. So, as far as getting your reps bought in, and this is the last little point I'll talk about it, and then we'll hop over into what's next and into Q&A. But what has worked for us is giving them those ready to send emails. We've run a cold call program for a long time, and it used to be very, very manual. It's always gotten us a lot of wins. So we did that anyways, despite the heavy lift for the team and the time consumption. But this has just been so much better, and they're so much happier with it because we used to have just like a completely manual, every email they had to go and they had to go look at the opportunity and then they had to like figure out how to personalize it. And in my experience, whenever you have reps doing that, you'll have some that do it, and then most that will just end up not doing it. So I would rather make it as easy as possible for them because I know they will make phone calls. I don't want them to have to write those emails. At most, they can edit them and that's it. Um, Also, getting with them and kind of showing them what I just showed y'all of showing the example of what the AI is actually writing. So they can see what good looks like and they see like this is good. This is an email I would write. I'm comfortable with this being sent out under my name. So reviewing those examples together as a team is very important. And then, like I showed you all the screenshots of all the wins, I'm a huge fan of celebrating all of my team's wins, whether they came by the AI's work under my team's name or their direct win. I celebrate them both the same. And that's why you see all those screenshots where they're like, wow, this email converted. They're still doing the job of getting them on the call, making sure they show up, getting that actually scheduled. So I still think it's good to celebrate them and the work they're doing. So stand-ups, we actually take whoever had the most wins each week in our company meeting on Mondays, and they get to present one of their win to the entire company. So that's a great way to continue to celebrate them and get them pumped up about working these kind of leads. Another great way, of course, it's always bribery. So Q4 spiffs always get people excited. Got holidays coming up. People have a lot of bills to pay, a lot of things that they want to buy for their family and friends. So yeah, always think running a good Q4 spiff. We're actually doing this here ourselves right now, running a Q4 spiff specifically on closed loss. Let's bring those opportunities back because you have a whole year to tap into right now. All right. As far as what's next, Class 2, we're going to move again into events and custom signals. If you missed me talking about this in the beginning, listen up now. So we'll use things like attendees list and no-shows to show you how to turn those into structured workflows, plus how to shape Gemmy's messaging around that context. And then class 3 is going to be the most kind of in-depth class where we're going to talk about multi-signal automation, building a true autopilot and scoring, basically how to prioritize and scale intelligently. So that's what to look forward to coming from me. We also have a bigger user jumps event coming up. If you like bougie prizes, we're doing a lot of bougie prizes for this. So if you don't follow on LinkedIn, I recommend following on LinkedIn to see because there are some fun things to win there. But this, we're also going to be launching our new AI agent for ABM. So if ABM is like a topic that you care about a lot or you're interested in, this would be a really great one to attend. So hope you'll join us. All right. Got just over 5 minutes left. Sorry if I talk too much through this, but let's run into the Q&As. All right. Let's see. Cassie, I'm guessing that to get the text signal, we need to upload this information to UserGems. Where would we do that? So tech stack is actually a signal with pre-built within UserGems. So you would just need to activate that. UserGems goes and finds that information for you. Oh, Taylor answered you. So thanks, Taylor. Awesome. Anyone else? Any other questions? As long as we're still here, we've got a couple minutes left. And happy to answer anything that came up along the way. But also just want to say thanks again to everyone for attending. Great to have you all here. And I will be sending out some follow-up information. So if there's things that you wanted to look at again, you'll probably see that in the follow-up email. And I hope to see you all again at the next event. Will the email messages be reflective of closed lost notes, or will the team do that as templated emails? So we don't rely on closed lost notes for the email messaging. That is going to actually come from it's the past interaction. So looking at call transcripts, because you never know when AE is going to write in closed lost notes. So I didn't feel like the safest place to source that information from. So we look at the actual transcripts from the calls associated with that opportunity, and then also looking at the email back and forths from that happened during that opportunity. So that is where that's pulled from. No templates needed. Thanks for the question. All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, again. See you in December.